What's going on, basketball fans? Welcome into NBA Now from Chat Sports, and today I'm bringing you the top 4 guys the Philadelphia 76ers need to prioritize in free agency this summer. And it all starts with one guy that they already had on their team last year. It's Jimmy Butler. No matter what you say about him, no matter what his chemistry issues might be, he is one of the best two-way players in the league right now. He's going to go down on one end and defend the best player, and then he's going to go down on the other end and get you a bucket. That's why they call him Jimmy Buckets. Now, 76ers absolutely want to bring him back next season for the max. Now, he's eligible for 5 years from Philadelphia. So you got to imagine they got to give him the 5 years to convince him to come back, because the Philadelphia 76ers aren't the only team that are going to be chasing him this summer. The Los Angeles Lakers are also very interested in him, and there might be some mutual interest from Jimmy Butler as well. But why would the Philadelphia 76ers offer him a max contract? Well, look what he did last season. 18.7 points per game, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and then 35% from 3, knocking it down from beyond the three-point arc and actually dishing the ball better than I think people expected. Now, another reason the Philadelphia 76ers are going to want to bring this guy back is because they gave up pieces to get him. I mean, you got to remember this whole Minnesota drama that went down with Jimmy Butler. It still cost the 76ers something to get him, such as Dario Saric and Robert Covington. I mean, that's 2 key role players that Philadelphia had to give up to get Jimmy Butler back. And they also had to throw in Jared Bayless, which, who really cares about that guy? And then the second-round pick, which wasn't a whole lot either. But they got back Butler. So you got to imagine they're going to want to bring him back, but other teams are going to want to be bringing him in to their organization as well this summer. And it starts with the Los Angeles Lakers. LeBron James is hot on his tail, but you also got the 2 New York teams, New York Knicks and the Brooklyn Nets. I put them as a distant 3 and 4 to really pursue Butler this summer. But that number 2 team, the Los Angeles Lakers, they're not kidding around when they say they want him on the team, because you got to think you have a great two-way player already in LeBron James. So why wouldn't you want to add a great two-way player next to him in Jimmy Butler who can help him get back to the playoffs? Because that's his goal. That's the Lakers' goal, right? Well, I just still think that the Philadelphia 76ers are going to be the ones bringing Butler back this summer. If they offer 5 years and a max contract, how can he turn that down? He's nearly 30 years old. That's, guaranteed money until you're 35. I think Philadelphia has the edge, but it's not about what I think. It's about what you guys think. Put it in the comment section below. Which team will sign Jimmy Butler this summer? If you think it's the Lakers, if you think it's the 76ers, if you think it's a wild card team, throw it in the comment section below. Second player the Philadelphia 76ers need to target this summer is a guy that was on their team last year as well that they also traded for. It's not Jimmy Butler this time, it's Tobias Harris. Traded from the Clippers to the 76ers this past season, which was like the 5th or 4th team he's bounced around to. He's been playing for a lot of different teams already. He can play the 3 or the 4. He played a lot of power forward next to Joel Embiid in Philadelphia. And really, some team could get really lucky and get a versatile guy like him on their team next season. But might be expendable to the 76ers if they re-sign Jimmy Butler. That is the only thing that could change. Now, this past season, he averaged 20 points per game, 8 rebounds, and 3 assists. And that's really, really good. A really strong showing from Tobias Harris. And you better hope that he did a lot, because what they gave up to get him was not just a pretty penny. It was a lot. I mean, they gave a solid haul to get Tobias Harris on their team. Wilson Chandler, that was more of a salary dump. But they also gave up Landry Shamet, who made the all-rookie team, Mike Muscala, 2 first-round picks, and 2 second-round picks for Tobias, Boban, and Mike Scott. And really, Tobias Harris was your main contributor from that trade. So you have to think, if Tobias Harris doesn't re-sign, then the Clippers won this trade, right? Well, here's the thing. It's going to probably come down to Tobias Harris or Jimmy Butler. And when you compare the two side by side, Tobias actually has the edge in points per game and rebounds per game. 20 points per game, 8 rebounds from Tobias, and 19 from Jimmy, and 5 boards. The assists, Jimmy Butler has an edge, but 3-point shooting, Tobias Harris also has an edge. So what's the big difference? Why would they prioritize Jimmy Butler here? Well, it's the defense. I mean, it doesn't show up in the box score always, but Jimmy Butler's defense is better than Tobias Harris's, and that's why I think they would prioritize him over Toby. But which team do you think Philadelphia should prioritize this summer? If you think it's Jimmy Butler, type JB in the comment section below. Even if you like Justin Bieber, if you're a believer, put JB in the comment section below. If you think it's Tobias Harris, put TH in the comments below. Now, Tobias Harris, he played power forward a lot for Philadelphia, but if he walks, they're going to need a replacement. And here's who I think they could replace him with, and that's Julius Randle. What? Julius Randle? Yeah, played power forward for the New Orleans Pelicans alongside kind of Anthony Davis for like half the season, but really had a great year. 19 points per game, 9 rebounds per game. He's coming off one of the best years of his career, and he's got a player option, but I fully expect him to opt out because what he did on the court is going to make him a lot of money off the court as well. Now, this career year was absolutely no joke. Julius, really just put the ball in the basket and pulled down every rebound that came his way. 19.9 points per game, 9.3 rebounds per game, shot 54% from the field and actually shot it pretty well from three also. He's actually showing that he's got some range at the NBA level. I really like Julius Randle. If he opts out, I think Philadelphia should absolutely consider him because you look at who they only have under contract next season, and it ain't pretty. Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, great. That's probably your two best players right there. But then after that, it's Jonathan Simmons, Zaire Smith, and Jonah Bolden. So you got to get some big men. Jonah Bolden and Joel Embiid are your only two big men. You got to get some depth there, and that's where Julius Randle comes into play. Ben Simmons, Zaire Smith is your backcourt. You probably can bring back J.J. Redick too. Jonathan Simmons and then Joel Embiid, and then there's Julius Randle right there who really just had, again, a monster year. And he's young. The dude's 24 years old, and I think that is something that is so important because this potential new core for Philadelphia, should they let Jimmy Butler and Tobias Harris walk, is young. Ben Simmons, 22 years old. Julius Randle, 24. Joel Embiid, 25. And then if they can bring back Jimmy Butler, he's 29 years old, but that would take a lot to bring him back. So, look, Julius had a really good year. He could make a lot of money this summer. I don't know if they'll be able to afford him and Jimmy Butler, but really, how much do you think Julius Randle is going to make this summer? I'm expecting him to get around $15 to even maybe $18 million. And he's not opting into the player option, so he's going to be wanting more than what he made in New Orleans last season. But one guy that had a great season last year, in fact, he made the All-Star team for the Milwaukee Bucks, was Khris Middleton. Named to his first All-Star team ever last year with the number one team, the Milwaukee Bucks. They had the best record in the league. He is expected to receive a max contract this summer, as he should. As an all-star, as the best player next to Giannis on a great team, he should get a max contract. And if Jimmy Butler walks, Jimmy Butler decides, hey, I'm going to LA, or Jimmy Butler doesn't get the full max from Philadelphia and decides he's leaving, Khris Middleton steps in, and he's a great two-way player as well. Look at what he did this past season for the Bucks. 18.3 points per game, 6 rebounds, 4.3 assists, kind of doing it all, just a Swiss Army knife of a player. And then 38% from three. He's a 3-and-D guy. You can call him that, but he's really a lot more than just that. And really doing all this as a former second-round pick out of Texas A&M is really, really, really impressive for Khris Middleton. I expect him to get paid the big bucks, and probably from the Milwaukee Bucks this next year. But the 76ers should also be interested. But he's not the only shooting guard on the market. Let's say Jimmy Butler leaves. You got some other options as well. Klay Thompson's probably the best shooting guard on the market right now, and then Jimmy Butler at 2. But if they can't get Jimmy back, they bring in Middleton, or they bring in a cheaper option like Danny Green, or just bring back J.J. Redick. And it's a pretty solid core anyway. But if they can get Middleton, this starting five looks a lot better should Butler and Tobias Harris leave, because he can't afford all three of those guys. Ben Simmons and Khris Middleton are your new backcourt. That's 17 and 18 points per game right there. And then Joel Embiid, 28 points per game. That's a big three, and that's a pretty solid big three as well. And then Jonathan Simmons there and Jonah Bolden. You got to replace those two guys most likely. But it at least gets interesting again for Philadelphia if they can't bring back Butler and or Tobias Harris. So those are the 4 guys that I have right now that the Philadelphia 76ers should be looking at this summer. I'll give you a quick recap. Number 1, I had Jimmy Butler. Already played for the Philadelphia 76ers, but they want to bring him back. Tobias Harris at number 2. If Jimmy walks, they bring him back. Julius Randle at 3 if they can't bring back Tobias Harris for the power forward position. And then Khris Middleton would be a great replacement for Jimmy Butler. So the next question is, because it's time for them to take the next step, how far will the 76ers go next season? That's the question I want to leave you with. Put it in the comment section below if you think they're going to make it to the finals, the Eastern Conference Finals, whatever you think, put it down in the comment section below. And make sure you are subscribed to Chat Sports on YouTube. Thank you guys, and I'll see you next time.